I have some good news. The good news that I have is that just like Christ is alive and well and active today, His church is also alive and well and active today. You see, throughout history and in times of trial, a lot of times what the church actually does is thrive under persecution and difficult times. Right now, in our area of the nation at least, we're not allowed to meet together. You see, because of laws and health reasons, we're not able to meet together, and that in a lot of ways is making things difficult, making things a little harder for the church. But I think we'll look at some examples here of how the church usually thrives during these times. And to do that, let's go over to Acts chapter 2. In Acts chapter 2, we see Peter there at Pentecost preaching to thousands of people. He pricks their hearts. And then in verse 46 and verse 47, we read, "So continuing daily with one accord in the temple and breaking bread from house to house, they ate their food with gladness and simplicity of heart, praising God and having favor with all the people. And the Lord added to the church daily those who were being saved." You see, right here we get a small glimpse at what the church was doing. But then if we fast forward a little bit to chapter 7 of Acts, we see the martyrdom of Stephen. And during this time, it seems like the church, this would really slow down the spread of the church. It seems like this would be a huge negative for the church. But what actually happens is the church explodes after this. You see, the persecution didn't slow down or stop the spread of the gospel, but instead what we see is thousands of unnamed, unsung heroes in the Bible going out and sharing their faith. You see, it's estimated that about 25,000 Christians left Jerusalem about this time and went to their home cities and began wherever they were spreading the good news of Jesus to other people. You see, it didn't paralyze the church, but instead we see the church thrive during this time. The word in chapter 8, verse 1, when he says that the Christians scattered throughout the land, is actually the past participle verb of the Greek word diaspero. And what this word means is not just scattering scared, but it's like sowing seed. It's the same word that you would see if you were throwing out seed. And see, what happens here is the church, during this difficult time, ends up growing through the hardship. And see, one great thing about the church is that God's people will always find a way to worship Him. Whether it's in a small cave during the Romans when they were being persecuted, or whether it's in a small cabin during the Civil War and slaves were meeting and worshiping together, whether it was under communist rule in China and you had the government. I've talked to people who were in foreign lands who when they were singing praises to God, they had to sing quietly for fear of outside forces coming in. But you see, God's people always find a way to worship and bring honor to Him. So we fast forward to today, and what's the church doing today? Well, they're doing just that. They're still worshiping and praising God. You see, today, just last week at our church where I attend at Boulevard, we had a young man who had been studying and was baptized, who is a college student, and decided to make that great confession that he believed in Jesus Christ and was baptized for the forgiveness of his sins. If you were to go on Facebook right now, you would see probably more great content than you've ever seen on there. Every church in this area has been posting videos and sermons and uplifting messages, things like this, where there's so much good content that's coming from a seemingly bad time. You see, a lot of times we get distracted, though, with all the negativity. It's easy to, right now especially, to look at what all's going on and get discouraged, become let down, and feel like there's nothing positive going on. And so to end, I want to go over to Galatians chapter 6. Galatians 6, starting in verse 1, and we're going to read a little bit here, where it says, "Brethren, if a man is overtaken in any trespass, you who are spiritual, restore such a one in a spirit of gentleness, considering yourselves, lest you also be tempted. bear one another's burdens, and so fulfill the law of Christ. And then if we skip down to verse 9, it says, and let us not grow weary while doing good, for in due season we shall reap if we do not lose heart. Therefore, as we have opportunity, let us do good to all, especially those who are of the household of faith. In this passage here, we read that our job as Christians, as the church, is to go and encourage other people, look for opportunities to do good. You know, a lot of times the church is always looking for a certain program that we have to be involved in. And programs can be great, whether it's a door knocking program, an evangelism program, something that helps you get out of your comfort zone. But right now, those are suspended. They're postponed because we're not able to do them. Right now, the church is much like it was in the early days. Individuals going and sharing their faith with people that they know. There's a lot of great things happening in the church right now. A lot of people who are fulfilling this, who are encouraging other people, who are looking for opportunities to do good. So this week and the rest of today, I want to encourage you to look for the good. Look for ways that you can encourage other people. Look for ways that you can do this, and don't grow weary of doing good. I want to thank you for watching this video, and I hope that you have a great rest of the day.